Okay, good morning class. This is our first lesson together for video, okay? We're going to do adding with fractions. That will be in your work text page, let me see, 177 and 178. Now we're going to do 2 pages today, and we're going to do them together because they are adding and subtracting fractions, so they'll work together easy for you to comprehend, okay? So we can get those 2 lessons done. Let's look up here at the board. I have adding fractions. I want to review with you that the top number is the numerator, okay? And the bottom number is the denominator. Remember, the denominator is how many pieces a whole is divided into, and the number on the top, the numerator, is the main number that we're talking about, okay? Now, one way you can remember that is that denominator starts with a D, and so also the word down starts with a D. So we know that's always the bottom number. The numerator has almost the word number in it, so you can remember that's the numbers we're talking about, okay? So when we begin adding fractions, the only way you can add a fraction is if the denominators are the same. So as long as the denominators are the same, you can add or subtract them, okay? So all we're concerned about is, are these the same? Yes, so guess what? The denominator is going to be written down. It's already done for you. You see, it's going to be 7. And then all you have to do is work the numbers at the top and the numerator. Remember, numerator numbers, okay? So these are the ones we're going to work with addition. So we're going to add 2 plus 3. What is that? It's 5, isn't it? So I'll put a 5 up here. That's how easy it is. Okay? But the only time you can do this if the denominators, the bottom number, is the same. Now you can do this horizontally or you can do it vertically, okay? So we just look at the denominator, which is the bottom number, 7 and 7, so I put it down here, and then I just add the numerators, which are the top numbers, 2 and 3. So 2 plus 3 is 5. They can be written both ways. Do you see that? Okay. Now let's practice some more. Here we have, they're both 5, so we can work this number. This problem can be worked because the denominators on the bottom, down at the bottom, are the same. So I put 5 as my denominator. Go ahead and put it there. And then I work the numbers that are on top, the numerator. These are the ones we work with. 1 plus 2 is what? 3, isn't it? Okay. There we go. See how easy this is? This isn't hard at all, is it? Now let's look at this again, but you got to check and make sure that the denominators, the bottom number, is the same. That's the only way you can add these fractions. Okay, and the numerator, the numbers we work, the numbers at the top, 2 plus 3 is what? 5, yes. See how easy? 6 plus 4. Can I do that? Yeah, I can do it. Why? Because the denominators are the same. Remember, there's rules that we have to follow in math, and it's an exact science, so we have to make sure we do it. So 11, we check the denominators. They're the same. All we have to worry is the numbers at the top, and all we're doing right now is just adding simple numbers, aren't we? Okay, what's 6 plus 4? 10, isn't it? There we go. Same, we can just work all of these numbers. 9 and 9, we don't add these numbers on the bottom. We just put that same number, the denominator. It's 9. Okay, then we'll add the numbers at the top. 2 plus 4 is 6, yes. 6. Okay, you might have 3 fractions together added. But you have to make sure the denominators are all the same. And if they are, we put the denominator that's there, 5, Then we start adding the numerators, the numbers at the top. 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. Okay, we'll do a few more. Notice these three. The denominator, the bottom number, which is down, denominator, is what? 9. So we already write that down. We just carry it over and write a 9 there. Then we start adding the top. 4 plus 2 is what? 6. Then one more is 8. Again with 7. Hey, it's the same. I'll write it here. And then I work the numbers that are on the top. 1 plus 4 is 5. Again, the next problem, 13s. They're the same. So I'll write the denominator down and work the numbers at the top. 3 plus 6 is what? 9. Plus 2 is 11. Simple math, isn't it? Really, when you learn how to do it, the procedure, the concept, the denominator has to be the same, and then you add the top numbers. So there we go. You can do the rest of those real quick. No, remember they can go horizontally across sentence form, or they can go vertically up and down. You just have to make sure that the bottom number is the same. Okay? Now, we can see, you can work the bottom if you want to later, if you have that concept. If you want to work it, I'll give you a few minutes. And I'm going to erase this, and then we're going to do some measurement conversion. So go ahead and work those at the bottom there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, real quick. And then we'll work on some of these measurement things. Now remember, we were converting measurements before you left for spring break. So, to make sure you know. Just a little review. I'll be writing this while you finish that bottom part there. Okay, I bet you're finished and ready to go on. Remember, when we convert feet to yards, we have 3 steps we have to take. So we go 1, 2, 3. Step 2 is our special number. We'll go ahead and put that underneath each one. Go. All right, here we go. Now, what we have to do is find our smallest unit in feet and yards. So what would be the smallest unit? Well, we know the feet is the smallest unit. So I write a little s over there. And yard, of course, would be the largest. So we're going from smaller to larger. Don't forget to do our little symbol, smaller to larger. We're going to do what? Divide, aren't we? Okay. And then our special number is how many smaller units are in the larger unit? That would be 3. So that's our special number. And then this just tells us what we do. We take 60 feet and divide it by 3. So 60 divided by 3. So 3 will go into 6 how many times? Yes, 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 from 6 is 0. 0 is less than 3. I bring down my 0. 3 will go into 0. 0. And 0 times 3 is 0. So that gives me 20. So I come up here and write my answer. 60 feet equal 20 yards. Okay, we'll do this one. 7 days equal how many hours? Which one is the smallest unit? Hours are smaller than days, aren't they? So I put my little S and L over because that helps me think clearer. And I go from larger to smaller. What do we do? Larger to smaller, what do we do? Multiply, yes. So then we will be multiplying. And then I have to figure out how many of the smaller units are in the larger unit. How many hours are in a day? 24. So that's our special number is 24. So now we can just look at this and it tells us exactly what to do. 7 times 24. Do you see that? So you're always going to write the larger number on the top times 7. Does everybody see that? 7 times 4 is 28. So I put down my 8, carry my 2. 7 times 2 is what? 14. Plus 2 is 16. So guess what, guys? 7 days equal 168 hours. Okay? Goodness, we're so smart. What can I say? We have days and weeks. I look for the smaller unit, which is days, because weeks are longer than days. So we're going to go from smaller to larger. We're going to divide. Okay? So we put smaller to larger, divide. Make sure you do that so you won't mess up. So, and then I say, how many days are in a week? 7. That's our special number. So here I have everything here. 77 divided by 7 will give us our answer. So I'll go 77 divided by 7. We should know this because it's one of our facts. We can go 1 if you need to do it the long way. 7 to 7 is 1. 7 from 7 is 0. Is 0 less than 7? Yes. Bring down your 7. 7 into 7 is 1. 1 times 7 is 7. 0. So how many weeks are in 77 days? 11. Here we are. 11 weeks. And that's how we go back and remember how we did our conversions. Now you can turn your paper over and let's see what we have. We have some problems up at the top, and I want to go over this with you. I'm going to give you a little chance to look at the board a little bit, and I want you to look so you can tell which one of these is larger or smaller. And there's a little rule for each one, so I'll tell you, I'm going to give you about a minute to look at this. Then I'm going to erase it, okay? Here you go. Start erasing over here. Catch up. You missed it, you can turn it back on. Okay. Now, let's look at these different fractions that are at the top of page 179. We have 4/11, they say, or 3/11. They have 2/10 or 3/10. And then they have 1/4 or 1/2. And then they have 1/3 or 1/2. Now let's look at the directions. What does it say? Circle the larger fraction. Let Mrs. Cartwright remind you of how you look for the larger fraction. First of all, look at the denominator. If the denominator is the same, you want to look at the top number. And whichever one is the largest, that's larger. Okay? If the denominator is the same, you just look for the largest numerator. And that would be 4/11. Okay? And then, over here again, we have the same denominator, the bottom number, you know, down. And we're going to look for the largest number. So what would that be? Yes, 3/10. So we circle that one. Now look at the next two. They have different denominators. And when you are looking at the denominator and their difference, you need to look for the smaller in the denominators. Okay? Smaller denominator when they're mixed. So 1/2 is 2 is smaller than 4, but 2 is greater in a fraction, because I can show you here. You have a circle, there's 1/2, and I'll draw a circle and have 4. Now each one of these little spaces is 1/4. Each one of these is 1/2. Do you see? This space here is smaller than this space, isn't it? So you see how the higher number on the bottom makes it smaller, because the whole's divided into more pieces, so it's got to be smaller. Okay? If you have a pie and you only got 4 kids there, you got to divide it into 4. So if you just got 2 kids, you can divide it in half and you get half the pie. You see? So when it's a smaller number, it's the greater. So that's the one you want to circle. So look at this one. 1/3 or 1/2. Which one's the greater number? 3. So we're looking on this one, we're looking for what? The smaller number. Remember? The smaller number makes the larger. Doesn't make sense, but it's true, because for this reason, it's not divided as many times, so you get a larger piece. So we're going to get half of the pie or the third of the pie. Which one's going to be the largest? Half of the pie. Because I'm only sharing with 2 people, and here I'm sharing with 3. Do you see? So watch the difference. When the denominator is the same, you look at the top number. When the denominator is different, you look at the smallest denominator, and that's going to be the larger. Okay, does everybody understand that, I hope? You can always go back and look at this. The next thing we're going to do is word problems. Now remember, we have to show our word in the square, but you have to read it first. Sophia's family buys 5 pounds of apples per week. So she's buying 5 pounds of apples, and the clue word there is per. Okay, so that means every week she buys 5 pounds of apples. So in 5 weeks, well, we don't know how many weeks yet, do we? But she buys 5 pounds. It says, how many pounds of apples will they buy in how many weeks? 52. That's a whole year, isn't it? So in 52 weeks per week, and 52 weeks. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the word per and know that we need to multiply. So 52 times 5 is how we get our answer. And our label will be what? Apples. Okay. So let's multiply this. 5 times 2 is 10. Put down my 0, carry my 1. 5 times 5 is 25, and one more is 26. 260 apples is your answer. Okay, let's look at the next one. The bakery made 90 hot dog buns. They divided, what did they do? Divided them evenly into packages of 6. How many packages did they make? Well, we have 90 hot dog buns. And they said they were going to divide it by how many? 6. So we're going to divide 90 by 6. Okay, let's see if we can do that. 6 into 9 is what? Well, 1. 1 times 9, 1 times 6 is 6. So I have divided, now multiplied, now I have to subtract. 6 from 9 is 3. I have to compare, is 3 less than 6? Yes, so then I bring down 30. What times 6 makes 30? 5. So I put my answer up here. I've divided. 5 times 6 is 30. 30 minus 30 is 0. 0 is less than 6. So I have 15 what? Packages, don't I? Look for the clue words. It said divided. The word per means that you multiply. I think they can see that. Okay. I'll let you write that down. And when you get that written, we'll move on to division and being detectives and solving the unknown number. Do a little algebra.